care, and check-in. And choice is the first part of it. And that is so important, just like I talked about earlier today, is that we get to make a decision. We get to choose the kind of work that we're in. And so what I'm going to actually ask you to do right now and for the rest of the day is for you to think about and make a choice if this is the work that you want to do. Do you want to be of service to other people? And I ask that with true honesty and truly without judgment, because it's okay for the answer to be no. It's not okay for the answer to be no and for you to stay, right? But if the answer is, I actually don't want to be of service to people, and there could be a lot of reasons for that. It might not be the right time in your life. Maybe maybe things at home are really challenging, and this isn't the right time to be of service. But if not being of service to people is what's important to you at this point in time, then it's important to find a job where you don't have to do that, where you can interact with people differently. Because we're about changing people's lives. We're not about widgets. We're not about products. We're about people. So consciously, actively, thoughtfully decide, do you want to be of service to people? And then exercise your privilege to make that decision. Okay? If you choose that you want to be of service, the answer is yes. I want to help people, and I want to be of service to other people. Then I ask that you choose it right now. I ask that you choose it this afternoon. I ask that you choose it on Monday, that you choose it on Tuesday, that you keep choosing it every single day. That you decide every single day when you wake up and go to work, I am going to be of service today. And if you find yourself having too many days in a row where the answer is no, then that gives you some really important information for you to reflect on and think about if you need to make different changes. So that's the first piece of servant leadership, is the choice and making a decision to serve and be of service to other people. The second C of servant leadership is connection. And before I get into that a little bit too much, I want to kind of reference something that I heard the panelists talk about Nico. Excuse me. Mika was talking about she didn't fit what people were expecting, and so they didn't know what to do with her. And so she had to take classes that she didn't need to take in order to get to the point where she needed to be. And it was all about compliance. It was all about checking the boxes, right? And while compliance is important, because boxes need to be checked, it's how we go about doing it. And sometimes when the focus is just on compliance, it's just on, do I have the paperwork? Do I have the reporting forms? Did you go to the class you're supposed to go to? If it's just about that, we can really explain to us how much is missed when that is the focus. And then we heard several times about Northwest, right? And the compassion that is showed, and how they get to know people, and how they care about people, and how they want to make sure they're working with an individual, right? Not just compliance, but the compassion. And I think something that blends compliance and compassion together, because frankly both are necessary, is connection. And that's the second C of servant leadership, is connection. And so how do we actually do connection? Especially when we're in an environment where things are constantly changing, right? So administration changes, political administration changes, budgets pass or don't pass, finally get passed. That's not new, right? This is what happens. What does stay the same is our mission of helping people find and sustain employment. And so through connection is the one important way we're going to do that. And so the tangible way, the very concrete way, because it's not just a word that sounds good, But the tangible way we're going to do connection is we're going to look people in the eye when we see them. We're going to connect with them as human beings and as individuals. And whether it is Patrick, the CEO, that you're passing in the hall, whether you're in accounting and you're talking to a colleague and somebody walks by, whether you're driving the van for transportation to get people to interviews, that when you interact with people, you connect with them. You look them in the eye and you speak to them. You say good morning, good afternoon, how are you today? It's a pivotal, important piece of connection. And it's something that we often overlook or assume is unimportant. But especially today, it's really important, especially the way we're divided, especially the way we've got technology dividing us, especially the way we walk down the street looking at our phones. To be at work and have somebody interact with you with a simple thing like good morning is pivotal. And just like you were, I'm sorry, looking in the audience, just like Shadira was saying as an ambassador, how that shifts things, right? How saying good morning changes people's attitudes, and it can permeate in a positive way throughout the office. So that piece of connection is really important. The third C of servant leadership is care. So you've already decided to choose to service other people. You've already decided to speak, acknowledge them, right? Say good morning when you see them. Now you have to show care. And so how do you show care? How do you do that? It's a simple sentence. You ask, how may I help you? And then you help. That's how you show care. Sometimes when I say that, people think, well, I can't do that, because if I do that, I'm going to end up doing somebody else's job instead of my job, and I have to focus on my job. If I ask somebody how I can help them, they're going to tell me all these things that it's not my responsibility to do and take care of. And so I'm not saying you should do other people's jobs, but I am saying that when we're dealing with people who come to us for help, our job is to help them, which means we connect them to the resource that they need. It means we connect them to the form that they need. It means we connect them to the person who can deliver that actual service that they need. So it doesn't mean going outside of your role and responsibility, but it does mean making sure that you're able to connect them so that they get the help that they need. And that is part of everybody's job. Whatever your position is, everybody's responsible for that. The flip side of care, same coin, other side of it, is the care for ourselves. So how do we as employees take care of ourselves? Because when we're doing servant leadership, there's a lot of giving. There's a lot of connecting. There's a lot of asking how I can help. And so if I'm constantly giving of myself, and I don't replenish myself, I am going to be resentful. I am going to be bitter. I am going to have an attitude. I'm going to be burnt out. So as much as we're asking everybody how we can help them, it's our responsibility as working professionals to know what we need to take care of ourselves so that we can come back the next day or the next hour and continue to ask, how can I help? And so you have a lunch break. I'm not sure how many people take their lunch break. I'm not sure how many people eat while they're walking down the street, or while they're driving the van, or while they're sitting in a meeting, or while they're sitting at their desk. And we have reports to get to, like we have a busy day, we have meetings, I recognize all of that. But especially in the workforce, there's reasons and rules for having breaks. And so take your breaks so that you can recharge yourself. Take your break so that you can go listen to some music, you can walk around the block, you can step away from your desk, you can step away from driving the van for 30 minutes, so that when you're coming back, that you are ready to be of service to others. So we have choice, we have connection, and we have care. And the fourth and final C of servant leadership is check-in. So once you've asked somebody, how can you help them, you're actually not done there. It's this last final piece that is so critical. You have to check in with them to make sure they got what they needed. Just saying, how can I help, is really not enough if they didn't get the help they needed. So if you're at the reception desk and you ask somebody, how can I help you? And they say, I'm looking for room 129, and you give them the directions. When they leave and pass your desk again, you say, did you find everything okay? Was there anything else you needed? If you're driving the van, taking somebody to an interview, and they get in and you make eye contact and you say, good morning, how are you today? Anything I can do for you? And they say, I'm really nervous about this job interview. Can you just send me some good wishes? When they come back into the van, however many hours later, you say, how did that interview go? I was thinking about you. I hope it went well for you. You check in, you follow up to make sure that they got what they needed. And if they didn't, then you have to redirect them or get somebody else to help you find the best way to help them. I was in a CVS the other day, and it was a brand new CVS, one I had never been in before, which means I didn't know where anything was. And so I walked in, and there's a young man at the cashier at the register. And he looked at me, and he said, hi, how are you? I said, I'm fine, how are you? Anything I can help you with today? I said, yes, I'm looking for garbage bags. He said, I'm at the register, so I can't leave, but they are in aisle 10 on the bottom left-hand side. Okay, thanks. Followed his directions, they were exactly where he said they were. Got in line, he checked me out. Did you find everything that you need today? I did it, thank you. Great, all right, have a good day. It was the perfect example of servant leadership. CVS sells products. He sold me trash bags. And he was brilliant in doing servant leadership to do it. So if they can do it to sell trash bags, and we're in the business of changing people's lives, then we must implement this every single day that we go to work. When people come to us, and Mika mentioned this, so did Mzadi, thank you. They don't come to us happy-go-lucky, right? People don't come get our services when they're at a high place in their lives. They come to us at a pretty low place. And earlier, when Patrick was talking, he had some of the challenges on the screen. There are a lot of reasons for those low places. There are a lot of things that happen to people before they walk into our offices looking for our assistance. And the courage that it takes, Gregory spoke to this, the courage that it takes to be at a low point and go ask a stranger to help you is pretty incredible. Which means that when they come asking for help, even if they don't have the brightest smile on their face, even if they don't speak necessarily the kindest words to us, for us to be of service to them means that we say good morning. It means that we smile. It means we ask how we can help them change and shift the circumstances that they're currently in. Because when we do that, we do a much better job of helping people get and sustain employment, which means that they can feed their children, which means that they can pay their bills, which means that there's a big stress that is taken off of their back. It also means that their children get to watch them work. Their children get to watch them have pride in what they're doing and being able to be self-sufficient and support the family and have economic independence. This is everything that happens, the trickle-down effect that we don't see. This is what happens as a result of doing servant leadership really well. And so when the children get to see their parents doing this, they have a different idea of what they might be able to do for themselves and their lives. So now we're starting to see a generational effect and impact, simply because we were able to implement these 4C's, right? Because of that, as I said earlier, I really implore you to make a to allow the people that we work to have the same choice. Because when we do it really well, their first job is a job to pay the bills, possibly even the second job. But then they have more skills, they have more training, they have more experience, they have more confidence, so that maybe the second, third, and fourth job is a career job. And then they get to have the same privilege that I have. And they get to have the same privilege that you have. And then they get to choose work, not just to pay the bills, but to add value to themselves and how they feel about themselves. And so I implore you to make a decision to be of service, to service other people.